Hi friends, welcome. Today I want to talk about following a formula as a creator, where the formula plays a role, where the proper alignment of things are to create a healthy formula. We all follow a formula to some extent. There are good and bad aspects of this. And you see it prevalently in, for example, the vlogging community on YouTube. They copy each other to some extent. On Instagram, there was this trend, and I think it's going out the window to some extent at this point, which I can't say that I'm mad about, with the feet hanging out the helicopter in New York City in the background, that kind of thing. In the designer community, you see a lot of trends, the way people use colors, minimalism, this sort of thing. Once again, I think we've moved out of leaning so heavily into the world of minimalism in the design world. But it's interesting. I think it's going to stick around because it's an example of a design style that I think stands the test of time. Formula is an expression of the community, the creator community. It's a good thing in a lot of ways, but also I've seen in my experience that people tend to inject formula where original thought lacks, and this can have its downfalls. I think that this is where it's important to have tremendous self-awareness towards what you want your content to be, what you want people to take from it, how you want it to look and feel. If it's exactly where you want it to be, then you're fine. But if you want to continue to grow, it might be a good idea to think a bit more creatively, a bit more non-linearly, and consider where the formula is sort of holding you back, right? The dangers of the formula, though, is that, for one, you can find yourself fitting in a mold too heavily. And if you end up in a mold, you don't push boundaries and you don't innovate. More creative people tend to innovate in their ideas more. They also tend to get more pushback for their innovation. So this is why it feels safe and nice to stick to a formula, because you won't get pushback, you won't get criticism. People won't come and kick your shins, metaphorically speaking, or physically speaking, depending on what industry you're in. You also don't develop the voice within you to influence people in a way that only you can, through the way that you might say something or express something or share something visually, or if you're making music audioly, this sort of thing. Your voice becomes a copy. And you can maintain some level of success this way. But there's often a difference between this and actually making an impact with what you're sharing, with what you're creating for the world. And I would argue that there are a lot of downfalls to forgetting to focus on what the meaning of your work is. You can also end up placing your values in external factors, what other people think is interesting and worthy of ingesting. And as a creator, this confusion will plague your mind continuously if you're not careful. What do they think about what I have to create? How much should I care? If you follow the formula is going to tell you that you should care a lot more. If you are looking within yourself for original thought and meaningful creative development, if you look internally, you're going to rely on that a lot less, and that tends to be a very good thing. So I think it's a good idea to focus on your voice and what you have to say, and use the community to influence that. That's fine, but where is the hierarchy of importance, right? I also think that there are examples of really good formulas. I went to the gym today with my wife. We try to do this frequently. And I walked in and I noticed that South Park was on the TV, which is hilarious because this is like a public area. Normally it's the news. But I thought about it. South Park has been basically the same for years now. This is a good formula. If they don't really need to change the formula. Probably a good idea to develop over time incrementally. But it's fine the way it is. People love it. What people love about South Park is the consistency of the ridiculousness that is South Park. But I think this is all a fine balance. And I went on Google to look up examples of balance, pictures that represented balance, and I kept finding a photo that looks something like this. I think it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's a lot of things at once that all have to be in harmony in order for it to stand up properly, for everything not to crumble into a heap of sadness, right? I think this is how you should deal with the formula. I think this is how you should deal with most things in the creative process. A lot of times you won't notice these things are out of balance until everything has gone way sideways and you're having a bit of an existential crisis. So I think that in order to avoid existential crises, it's a good idea to ask yourself different questions, like what am I trying to do? What's my meaning? And you've probably heard that plenty of times from me on here if you watch this channel. What is not in alignment in my life? Subtly. What is subtly not in alignment in my life right now? Because that will get worse. And what is the role of inspiration from the people that I follow? How much should they influence what I'm up to? The answer is probably none, but it falls somewhere in the middle. So that's it. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear how you're interested in developing yourself in terms of dealing with the struggle of being too formulaic versus having original creative thought, that sort of thing. Comment below. I shall comment back. We shall engage. Have a good day. Goodbye.